When did you realize your friends weren't actually your friends? When they're only called you when they need something from you. I would never hear from anyone unless they needed something. Usually when they wanted it for free. Not my story. But a mate's. Guy invites all his high school friends. He's known them around 10 years. Around to celebrate his new house and newborn daughter. All the lads he invites drop MDMA in his lounge room and spend the night tripping without him. Not even caring that he had all this amazing stuff he wanted to celebrate. Guy walks up to the ladies, who are obviously unhappy with the situation, and tells them, "I've just realized these guys aren't my mates. They are just using this event to drop and have fun on their own." Hearing that story broke my heart. When I realized I was practically harassing them to hang out with me. Just gotta get some self-respect and learn to let it go. Edit. Thanks so much the awards everyone. I shall hang them on my wall. When I got ill. When I realized that my two best friends just came over to mess with me and make fun of me together. Me and two girls were walking down the street and they completely ignored me. So I was walking behind them. Then I decided to just turn around and walk back home. They didn't notice and they never asked where I went. That really hurt. Also at another point one of the girls came up to me and just flat out said to me, "Sometimes I don't understand why you have friends." Well. One group of friends I had was a group of 7. During restrictions in London you were limited to groups of 6. Guess who was left out almost every time? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect all these responses. Thank you for all the support. Don't worry. I do have a few groups of friends and a wide support network, so this didn't affect me that badly. It more just made me take stock and think, oh, I'm definitely number 7 in this group, so I should take that into account when I decide who to spend my time with. Mum got cancer and I had to come home and drop out of college to help the family. Said I might need some emotional support etc and got ghosted the next day. Real type part is I helped one of them with their grandmother's cancer and brother's attempted suicide. When no one checked if I was okay when my dad died. I was like a decoration on their conversations with each other. And they only talked to me to tell me things like be quiet. When I was in deep depression and finally opened up to my friends and they made fun of me saying I was only trying to get attention. Edit. I did not expect this to get so much attention. I thought it was simply gonna get buried and forgotten. But for those who asked, I am much better now and I haven't spoken to them in years. Also, thanks for the awards. I'll offer some advice that comes from 40 years of figuring things out. 1. If they make you feel bad more often than they make you feel good, they aren't your friend. 2. If they talk about mutual friends to you, they're also slagging you off to those self-same people. They aren't your friend. 3. If you are constantly the butt of their jokes in front of other people, they aren't your friend. 4. If they undermine your achievements, or are only supportive when they want something, they aren't your friend. 5. If they're eyeing your fiancé behind your back, they're definitely not your friend. Bit of a specialist category. That one. When in my senior year I found myself completely and utterly alone after a difficult breakup. When I broke up with a girl that I had dated for less than 5 months and they all abandoned me for her, and then I found out they all were taking a trip to Colorado together and nobody even bothered to tell me. I found that out on Facebook. When you need help, so you start writing him a message. Then see 3 unanswered messages from you asking for his helps. When they start hiding things from me. When he ripped me and our other friend flatmate off for $700 and when we confronted him about it he took all his nice stuff and left us to get rid of his trash and never paid us our money back. So essentially we were down $700. Meaning we had to come up with that money. We had to continue paying rent etc with one less income and we had to pay to get rid of his crap. You vants. When they are not happy for you for doing well. And don't care about you when you're not doing well. When I stopped initiating conversations and all communication stopped. When I had a large hole in my foot after stepping on an iron spike. They laughed as the ambulance guys closed the doors. One of the ambulance guys said, "Some friends you've got there." I realized he was right. After middle school, I realized that my friends weren't actually my friends since they'd spent basically the entirety of it bullying me and making my life a living hell. I was so used to being abused and mistreated. I was in a band with my closest friends. And we used to travel a lot for gigs, etc. Because it was just for fun. And we all had real jobs. Sometimes one of wouldn't be able to make it. And I noticed that whoever wasn't in the car would get ruthlessly slammed by my friends. After 3 or 4 times I worked out that if I wasn't in the car, they would say bad things about me. So one day I say I can't make it to the gig. And I send along a colleague from work to take my place. Next day he reported back to me that they spent the whole trip there and back hanging on me. And not in a fun way. They genuinely were not my friends. When they left me bleeding and concussed on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere in Cuba to find my way back to the resort completely disoriented. When I told them I was detoxing and cleaning up on taking drugs. And they proceeded to offer me more drugs. Take them in front of me and egg me on to take more. When I left. That was the last time they spoke to me. Edit. This was a few years ago now for context. Around 3 or 4 years ago. You all are amazing. I hope that if anyone is dealing with similar issues, that they can use some of the advice here, or feel free to drop me a message absolutely anytime. Close bracket. Edit 2. Honestly. Thank you all so much for the kind words and the Reddit awards. Big thanks for the timeless beauty and gold. I didn't think this would actually gain so much traction. I will do my very best to reply to everyone. But as I keep saying, if anyone needs someone to talk to, please feel free to start a chat with me. I'm always happy to talk. When I got sober. A quote I love. They aren't real friends. Until they defend you in your absence. Went drinking with my best friends. We were a group of 5 college girls having a blast at a bar. I got drunk. But was still remember some of what was happening. We were leaving the bar and a guy was talking to one of my friends. Let's call her friend G. He came over and grabbed me by the waist and he said, "Your friends are following us to my place. Let's go to my truck." I was drunk and this guy was still holding me while we walked to the parking lot. I was about to get in this guy's truck when another friend ran and grabbed me. Later I found out that my friend G had made a deal with this guy. He gave her weed in exchange of her fooling me to go alone to his place. My friend sold me for weed. Edit. Didn't know this was going to blow up. Thank you for the awards. And especially for your concern. I honestly didn't think much about the reality of what happened until after I told the guy I was dating back then. He was rightfully enraged. I came across an old mutual friend back in late 2016. We talked and caught up with our lives from a 10-year gap since we've seen each other last. Following year 2017 through 18 he started turning things around and becoming a fake friend. He started asking for money at least once a month at first. Then progressed to every other week. Varying from $20. Then to $100. Then $500. Excuses were, I need it for my cell phone bill. Or I need it for a Mother's Day gift, followed by I need it for rent. Meanwhile this guy was working at McDonald's full time at $16 an hour and living with his grandparents rent free. I decided to cut ties with this person. When they need you to be there for them. But don't want to be bothered to be there for you. When they greet you in the morning not with a good morning or hello. No what's up. Comma. No hey there. Full stop. It's you got some weed? Full stop. Like. Dude. No. I don't have any weed for leeches. When my best friend had her BF cheat on her. And the group of people who witnessed it didn't say anything for a whole year. It made me question their morals. Like if I was in my bestie's position, would they not say anything for a whole year? Not to mention, they would talk massive amount of crap on us when we weren't around. So yay. When someone else told me they said they're only your friend because they feel sorry for you and tried prying as to why. Me and this girl were both in school counseling for absent fathers. So hearing this after she left the school was kinda devastating. Not to mention, another reason I won't trust anyone. I'd never had friends. And this was 4th grade. I just wish I knew why I was so pitiful. So sad. They felt they had to pretend to be my friend. Crazy. But when a very toxic ex-GF made note that they weren't my friends, I didn't listen. After recovering from that horrible breakup, I started dating, quarantining with a really nice lady. Friends I fed, partied with and traveled with were jealous and would start picking me apart in front of said lady. End of the story, as everyone is gone now. Should have listened to toxic GF. 1/10 would not repeat. When I was getting abused and they didn't care, or rather just left my life entirely. When I moved, no one stayed in touch, even with me trying. When I started working from home, no one has checked in on me. Starting to think I'm just unlikable tbh. No one came to my graduation party and I wasn't invited to anyone's. Edit. Wow, this blew up. My most popular comment is a really crappy memory lol. Thanks for the silvers. And a hug. I can't really have a party between lockdowns and strep throat. But reading all of your kind words is making this a pretty nice birthday. So thank you. Edit. First gold. Best birthday ever. We were seniors in high school. It was when a friend asked me to write her entire senior research paper because she was failing and I said no. She then went on to tell the entire school about my past sexual abuse, which I had disclosed to her in confidence the year prior. That's how I got the nickname Alabama for the rest of the year. It was my brother who assaulted me when I was 5 and he was 15. As a small consolation prize, she failed senior year. Dropped out. Works at Walmart last I heard and has 3 kids with 3 guys. I went on to get my nursing degree. Work IQR and am happily married. Uniki. You got what you deserved. When I was in a fragile mental state and they thought it was funny to make me break down. And they have the nerve to leech on me a few hours before a test. My best friend from high school didn't invite me to his wedding. When I stopped buying pot and alcohol for them and they disappeared. When I realized I dreading talking to them. When they chose to believe a rumor over me. Well, so and so said this about you. That was when I chose my own path and those that wanted to keep me as a friend decided to do so. Had major brain surgery in 2011 to remove a tumor. Spent 7 days in ICU. Out of the 10 or so good friends I had at the time, only one bothered to visit me. Turns out that the one I thought was like a brother told everyone else that I couldn't have visitors. The one friend that did come is the only one I kept contact with after recovering. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 years back. Miss him dearly. It was a slow burn. She was my best friend for years. In school we were inseparable. But she would make those snide comments and over time it got to me. She kept putting me down and I understood. We were both getting bullied. And she just needed someone that was below her. I thought if it would make her happy, I was okay with it. I could take it. Then we finished school and she met new people. And she seemed happy without me. And I was relieved. I could finally withdraw from her. Semicolon. Edit. To those worrying. I am slowly learning to distance myself from friends who do not bring anything good into my life. I still try to be open and understanding to everyone. But I won't put up with being bullied. My therapist once said something that stuck to me. You can't keep helping people if they drag you down. Because if you both end up in that hole, nobody is helped. When I have to be the first to message them or they won't bother to talk to me. I went 3 months without a single text from anyone. When we started dating. Edit. When I moved and no one ever visited me or called when I had kids and never invited me to fire weddings, and if I was sat at the random table. Either we were super tight but I was just a random to them. When I got rid of Facebook. On the plus side, it did show me who the real friends were and who I was willing to keep up a meaningful relationship with. When she told me she wanted her bridesmaids not to look too pretty, and why don't I research how to be a pregnant bridesmaid and deal with it. She later skipped my baby shower and didn't send a gift. I opted out of being a bridesmaid in her wedding and opted out of her life right after the wedding. 10 years of friendship over in a matter of months. It was wild. When they ditched me on prom 2 hours before the dance for another group of friends. I got to the point where I noticed me and my best friend would only talk when I went out of my way to initiate conversations. I started feeling like I was bothering her, so I stopped texting her first to see how long it would take her to notice. It's been almost 6 years and she still hasn't noticed. When your best friend basically copies your speech debate points in a national level event, leaving you with nothing to speak and absolutely humiliated in front of hundreds of people just so he could get to the next round. He won acclamation for the same. When I changed my religion and quit smoking, they made fun of me and treated me like garbage. When they spoke about me behind my back on a camping trip I didn't want to attend, but still did. Because I was miscarrying at the time. You Taylor. So one of my friends, E, talked to my girlfriend about wanting to meet her up alone and watch a movie or go to the beach together without me. My girlfriend told me, but I was too scared to tell my other friends, fearing they would hang out with me anymore. Later another one of my friends, O, got himself a girlfriend and after a while noticed he doing similar things to his new girlfriend. He, however, told me and the fourth friend S about it and we broke contact with E. I also told them about what he had done to me and that I didn't tell them because I feared they would stop hanging out with me. After a few months later, O and his girlfriend broke up, and about 2 weeks afterward both O and S were talking to E as if nothing had happened, and I just stopped hanging out with all three of them. Pros: I grew as a person and I cut off fake friends. Cons: when I was sent death threats from 2 of my friends in grade 7 telling me to kill myself. That they would kill my family while we slept. Found out years later they did it because I was weird. And most recently because she couldn't keep track of her lies. This happens to me way too often. I find the easiest way is to stop being the first to text. If they really care about you as a friend, they should at some point text and say all good. My hardest ever realization was my research buddy. We would do so much together. I picked her up in the mornings on the way to the lab. We would go with each other to do field work. Go to lunch or dinner together all the time. She came to my wedding. My husband and I helped her escape an abusive relationship. Then after she left that guy and suddenly had this newfound freedom. She felt that as a married woman, I would be a wet blanket on fun. So she cut me out of her life. Encouraged my other university friends to do the same. I ended up leaving my PhD. And this was a small reason behind it. I actually went and fetched my stuff in the middle of the night so that I wouldn't have to see anyone in the lab. When I became homeless overnight, only one person stuck around to help me. He had a go at me for never telling him about the abuse at home. And then gave me a hug. He's my best friend and he will be my maid of honor. My also best friend of 8 years stopped talking to me and conversations only happen if I message them. Kind of sad. When he told me that it was okay for me to make a SZOL advance on him and that he wouldn't stop me. He also knew that I had just broken up with someone months ago. He called days later with a friend to shout at me over the speaker that I was using him and was so much for trying to reunite with a childhood friend. When I moved states, it was like I never existed to them. Never asked me how I was. And came to the town I lived in and didn't tell me. It was rough for teenage me to deal with, but now I am glad I didn't keep trying with them. Edit. After I made a real friend and realized it's not normal to never do anything together outside of school or work. My best friend shamed me for not going to a beer tasting event during the pandemic in a national COVID hotspot. He then said I had a better chance of dying in a car accident. He told me this 5 years and 2 months after my daughter was killed by a drunk driver in a head-on collision. After I quit being pro sportsman and I wasn't cool to know anymore. After high school graduation, we naturally had busier and more separate lives. I then noticed that if I didn't reach out, we wouldn't talk. Even on my birthdays, I heard nothing. I would see them post on social media often and realize that we had very different values and views on life. This taught me that in grade school you're often friends out of convenience, not compatibility. Time does tell when they act different when we're with other people. When my friend told me you got what you deserve. When everyone except me got a pay raise. He was the one who decided who gets it. I quit on the spot and we never talked again. When I had sex with a girl in a festival. When we went out of the tent the day after they were all laughing at her for having sex with me. When I realized I had a crazy high standard for what a friend was supposed to be and understood no reasonably self-involved individual could ever live up to that. Friends are now just human beings that currently enjoy my company due to mutual hobbies, interests, and are under no obligation to do anything more than that. I have so many friends now. Too late to comment, but someone sometime may read this. You'll realize in life that you start off with a lot of friends and as you get older that number nimbles down to 2-3 people. I don't live in the same city I grew up in. My friends and I can spend weeks, months without talking to each other, but I know they feel the same way and most of our conversations are updates and quick 4-5 messages and then silence. The hard emotional part is going from that 10 friends you thought you had down to the 2-3 you will have going forward. Everyone goes through this. You will naturally shed off most of them. They were toxic and as you grew into someone else so did they. People mature at different rates and have different life cycles. You're doing fine. Thank you, kind stranger, for the gold. When he blamed me for what his arsehole friends did to me. One guy tried to start a fight and my friend told me I was being an arsehole to him. He figured I was drunk enough to accept this lie. I went to a different high school than my friends for sports and a better education program. Turns out I hated it and barely made any new friends. They had been practically begging me to transfer for 2 years and I finally did a quarter of the way through my junior year. Nothing changed at all. I still did everything alone. Never talking to them. Never doing anything with anyone. Plunging me deeper into an already deep depression. I lost 40 pounds from not eating. Lost all my muscle mass from years of sports. And didn't do anything other than sit in class and lay in bed. When I started eating again, I ate too much and became overweight. I wish I could say someone was there to help me in the end, but no. People were nice to me. But nothing more. I didn't get out of that depression until a year after school. When my GF of 10 years became pregnant with my best buddy of 15 years. The day I realized I love them more than the family I was born to. They are not my friends, they are my family. When an online friend who I considered to be my best friend, we sent long messages to each other basically every day and shared everything, came to my city from the other side of the country and she never bothered to tell me. I only found out because I accidentally ran into her at my work. Then like a year later I went to the city she was living in. And stayed with a mutual friend of ours. And she was too busy to hang out with us. Like, never once made the effort to actually see me when she had the chance. I think she just liked having someone to vent to about her problems without it being like a real friendship. She never shared anything with her friends or fiancé, who never knew I existed or how we met. Eating disorder support forum. She had no idea she had an ED to begin with. But she was happy to unload it on me.